Alright, welcome to a video on how to substitute numbers for variables and exponents. Now, this is probably going to be one of the shortest videos that I do. It's going to be straight to the point. This is just a a quick review of what you've been doing in your math classes since probably 3rd, 4th grade. So, it's just here to kind of refresh your memory of it. So, we're going to start with substitution. So, we're going to substitute numbers in for variables. I have one rule when it comes to this. Always put the number in parentheses. Always put that number in parentheses. That's my big rule. I always want it in parentheses. The reason being, whenever we start talking about negatives and we start adding exponents, it can get a little tricky with the calculator. So, I have two examples I'm going to do here with you. First example says x plus y minus 2. And then it says that x equals 5 and y equals 1. So what I'm going to do is wherever there is an x, I'm going to put in a 5, and wherever there's a y, I'm going to put in a 1. And then my minus 2 just drops down. Now, after you do this, you look. You see if there's anything out here or anything out here that's going to change my number. But there's not. So I can rewrite it as positive 5 plus 1 minus 2. And then 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. So I get this here as 4. And I shouldn't put equal signs, should I? Second example, 10 minus m plus n squared. So anywhere there's an m, I'm going to plug in a 1. Anywhere there's an n, I'm going to plug in a 2. Now, here's why we put it in parentheses. Because when I rewrite this negative sign out here is going to change this positive 1 into a negative 1. So this becomes 10 minus 1. Plus, now here, anytime you have an exponent, I want you to keep that number in parentheses. And you'll figure that out as you go along because it'll give you some funky numbers when we have to deal with negatives. So you put this in the calculator, 4, 3, you get 13. So we can let the calculator do some work there because we really haven't talked about exponents. So 13. So let's start talking about exponents. So writing in exponential form. So exponential form. Oop, didn't mean to do that. Exponential form means that we have a number or a variable with an exponent, like this. Now, exponents tell you how many of a number or how many of a variable you have. So, 2. We have 1, 2. So you can write a 1 there. X's, we have 2 x's, so we write x to the second. Y's, I have 3 y's. Z, I have 2 z's. Now, this really isn't proper notation how you'll see it written quite often, because this 2 has a 1 with it. We don't generally write a 1 there, it's assumed there. So we can rewrite this as 2x squared, y to the third, z squared. So we have 1, 2, 2 x's, 3 y's, 2 z's. We look at the second one. We have W, A, B, and C. So I have 1W, I have 4 A's, so A to the fourth, 1 B, and 2 C's. I hope this is what your grades kind of look like at the end of the term, but hopefully without a W, because that'd be kind of weird, and hopefully less C's and a little bit more B's or A's. So we rewrite this because we don't need the 1 there. So there we go. So now we're going to write in expanded form. Expanded form was what we had originally before we wrote an exponential. So we're going to expand it. We're going to make it bigger. So I'm going to look at my exponents to see how many of each I have. So I have a 3 squared. That means I have 2 3's. I have an x to the third. So that means I have 3 x's. And then I have a y without an exponent, when there's no exponent, I know that's a 1, so I have 1y. So there it is in expanded form. Next we have 2a to the third, b to the fifth. So my 2, I have 1, 2. Let's do blue. I have a to the third, so I have 3 a's. And last, we have b to the fifth, so we have 5 b's. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there we go. These are both in expanded form. So that's the lesson. I know it was kind of quick, but again, it was a review. So if you have any questions, please ask me or ask one of your classmates. Other than that, this video is done.